This impassioned girl standing on the podium actually instructed the students to go to the next class to fight. Her name is Mao Mao. On the surface she is a harmless teacher, but behind the scenes she is a gangster leader who is feared by everyone. On the first day of school, she led people to block students outside the school, and she even beat her younger brother. Not only did she snatch the students' mobile phones, but she also snatched cigarettes from their pockets. On the first day of school, they skipped class, played games, and smoked. She asked if they were worthy of the tuition fees paid by their parents. Let her see them like this in the future. Don't blame her for being rude. Looking at the students fleeing, Mao Mao felt that it was another day of chivalry and righteousness. But she forgot. Today is her first day as a teacher. It wasn't until her younger brother reminded her that she was 5 minutes late that she hurriedly started changing her clothes. It's just that the younger brother gave her the same clothes as the students, but she was misunderstood by a righteous male classmate, thinking that the younger brother was molesting the female classmate. The male classmate rushed over on the bike, and then a Thomas 360-degree slalom slammed the wheel directly into the faces of the younger brothers. Fortunately, Mao Mao squatted down in time and didn't turn into a big face. The little brother had never been so angry, and just wanted to do it. Mao Mao immediately reminded him. She asked her younger brother not to hit the students. Mao Mao grabbed the bicycle and rushed to school with her male classmates, but she didn't know that her entry information fell to the ground. The younger brothers can only ride motorcycles to chase. I have to say that there is a reason why Mao Mao can become the boss. A few big men didn't catch up with her on motorcycles. The two came to the school, but they were still a step late, and the director of teaching was catching late students at the school gate. He was late for work on the first day, which made Mao Mao not know what to do. Unexpectedly, the male classmate was very calm and took her directly to the back of the school. He climbed over the wall in 2 or 3 strokes, and then shouted Mao Mao to come up quickly. But as a teacher, how could she know her mistakes and make mistakes? Not only did she not agree, but also asked the male classmates to come down and make it clear to the director. The two of them were a bit embarrassed by one on the wall and the other below. The director shouted, "What about you two acting? You come down for me." The two were taken to the school gate to criticize education. Unexpectedly, the student next to him suddenly reported, "Director, he is the one who caused us to be late. He robbed us." The director asked, "You are still robbing things? Didn't you get robbed?" Mao Mao was speechless at this time. At this moment, the male classmate said that he had a stomach ache and wanted to go to the toilet, but he didn't expect the director to let him go without thinking. Mao Mao said, "Director, I also have a stomach ache." The director disagreed. Just as the director was about to continue to criticize, her younger brother sent their entry materials in time. After reading the information, the director realized that she was actually the teacher who joined the company on the first day today. Mao Mao explained that the students were playing games and smoking, and the crime tools were confiscated for the students' health, and climbing over the wall was also persuading the student to come down. But the director didn't believe it. He felt that the people who were with Mao Mao were a group of gangsters riding motorcycles, and they were not good people at all. When Mao Mao saw that he judged people by his appearance, he immediately quarreled with him. Seeing that the director didn't come in, she turned around angrily and left, thinking that this teacher was inappropriate. But as soon as she went out, she bumped into the school doctor. If you look closely, this is actually your first love in high school. Because he studied abroad after graduating from high school, the two have not seen each other for 10 years. Found that her beloved was also in this school, Mao Mao immediately returned to the office to apologize, expressing his willingness to stay as a teacher. The director said, "What do you think of our school? Supermarkets. Come in and out at will." The principal was more reasonable and asked her what other specialty she had. She said that you can memorize pi, 50 decimal places, and Mao Mao began to memorize, and the principal and director were stunned. I don't know if the memorization is correct. Anyway, the school doctor heard the phone number from inside. In the end, the principal agreed to let her stay as a teacher, but asked her to go to a special class as a class teacher, and she had to sign a military order, and if a student was expelled, she had to leave on her own initiative. Mao Mao agreed without thinking. At this time, Mao Mao did not know the class situation, so he swore to sign the military order and become the head teacher of class 11 of the second year of high school. Who knew that this class was a big pit, and the students in it were all talents? There are Yu-Gi-Oh who loves esports and skips class every day to play games. There are also sports specialty students, Gods of War, who are full of talent for playing and hitting. He has the best ADHD in the school, no matter which class he is assigned to. He can leave footprints on the ceiling. There is also a passerby who has no sense of existence, but is in it every time he does bad things. And the male classmate who climbed over the wall with Mao Mao was also in this class. His name was Wu Wen, and all the bad things in the school were his figure. But he has never been caught and is known as the all-round king with 0 records. And his good buddy is also a well-known sleeping god in the rivers and lakes, and he will be sleepy as soon as he goes to class. The whole class is basically a delinquent who has been recorded twice. And they know it. The school arranged a new class teacher, and they wanted Wu Wen to take the lead in giving him a dismissal. Wu was prepared for this, he said. I made a gadget during the summer vacation, and I can hack into the campus network with one click. As he spoke, he took out his school bag and rummaged through it, but after rummaging through it for a long time, he couldn't find the tablet with the software. Wu secretly said that it was not good, maybe it fell out when he climbed over the wall in the morning, so he immediately came to the school to rummage through the grass. At this moment, Mao happened to pass by and picked up the tablet one step ahead. While the two were fighting, they accidentally triggered the software. In the next second, the whole school sounded with rhythmic music. For a while, the entire campus fell into chaos. Wu hurriedly took Mao back to class, ready to turn off the software on the computer. But at this critical moment, Director Jia suddenly rushed over. Realizing that something was wrong, Wu hurriedly picked up the computer and ran away. He also pushed Mao out to delay Director Jia. The director asked, "Where is that student?" Mao said, "I ran too fast and didn't catch up." The director accused her of being a teacher and couldn't even look at a student. Mao did not defend himself, and then found Wu in the grass of the school. She wanted him to take the initiative to apologize to Director Jia, but this was strongly opposed by Wu. He said that Class 11 is all students who have been recorded twice, and only he has not been arrested so far. He said he was the zero memory myth of Class 11. She asked what kind of students were in Class 11. He said, "Poor students, thorns, bad students, scumbags, anyway, they are not good people in the eyes of teachers." These words made Mao's heart half cold. It turned out that the previous military order was actually a big hole dug by the principal for her. The classes she leads are all bad students who are on the verge of expulsion. But at this time, she didn't have time to think too much, because Director Jia had already brought people closer and closer, and it was only a matter of time before she was caught. At the critical moment, the computer had another problem. The software was poisoned, and there was no way to turn it off remotely. Their only way was to pull the electric switch. So the two came to the power distribution room of the auditorium and closed the switch directly, which finally stopped the farce. But before they could breathe a sigh of relief, Director Jia had already rushed to the auditorium. In a panic, the two hid behind the curtain, but they didn't hide in the end. As Director Jia pressed a button, the curtain of the auditorium slowly opened, and the two were directly arrested. Only then did Wu realize that Mao was a teacher. She also admitted her identity and was his homeroom teacher. The atmosphere suddenly became quiet. At this moment, the salute next to her was suddenly fired, and the ribbons falling from the sky made Mao realize that her teaching career might be as unpeaceful as these ribbons. Mao officially came to the classroom, and she wrote her name on the blackboard. This class is a group of delinquent teenagers who do not have the slightest respect for the teacher, but in Mao's opinion, they are all pediatrics. She asked the classmate who applied the nail polish to go back and take it off tonight. The reason she gave was that the color was not suitable. Then she came to a student with her head down and asked him what he was looking at. The student replied, "The game is live." She took her phone directly. She caught two students copying their homework. She subdued all the students with force. Then she returned to the podium and began her speech. She vowed that during her tenure, she would turn the class into the best class in the school and never be a regular visitor to the office again. But as soon as the words fell, Director Jia walked in from outside, and he came to find the classmate who knew how to computer, which was Wu Wen. He called Mao and Wu Wen into the office. It turned out that during Wu Wen's software hacking into the campus network, a top student broke the school's honorary trophy. The head teacher of the top student indiscriminately shifted all the responsibility to Wu Wen. Xueba said that this matter had nothing to do with others, and he was willing to accept punishment. But even if the top student took the initiative to admit his mistake, the head teacher still felt that he was not wrong. There were other students who gave perjury, saying that the top student accidentally dropped the trophy because he was pushed when he was chaotic. The top student was stunned at the moment. He had deliberately broken the trophy. Why doesn't everyone believe him? This is also a problem in many schools. Students with good grades are excusable no matter what mistakes they make, but bad students can be wronged even if they do nothing. What about you? Mao resolutely opposes letting his students take the blame. Wu Wen has long been accustomed to it, and he said that I can admit my mistake. Wu Wen left the office with an angry face. The head teacher of the top student still refused to give up and felt that there was a problem with his attitude. Mao helps his students speak. Your students themselves admit their mistakes, and you still put the blame on us, don't you? Do good students not make mistakes? The director stopped their argument. Afterwards, Mao went to his first love phone by to tell him about it, feeling that this matter could not be left alone. Phone by advised him to calm down. After all, students' records will affect their further education. Of course, Mao didn't want the top student to remember it, but he should still be punished for doing something wrong. Since everyone protected that Xia Zining, she decided to let him transfer to class 11, and she came to teach him how to behave. Dong Bai thought it made sense, but Mao Mao didn't know how to do it. After all, he had good grades, and the school would never agree. She felt that if she wanted to transfer the top student, she still had to start with Director Jia. So she came to the office again to find Director Jia, and she first praised Director Jia. She said he was a role model for the school. The director was a little embarrassed. In order to express her admiration for the director, she planned to invite the director to dinner after school. The tone is particularly sincere and humble. The director agreed, and asked Mao Mao to ask any questions he didn't understand. Mao Mao said, "Director, you are so good." Mao Mao's sweet offensive made Director Jia completely fall. So several people met at the barbecue stall in the evening, and Phone Bai was worried and followed. Mao Mao thought that if he wanted Director Jia to agree to sign, he would have to get him drunk and start toasting as soon as he came up. The two first drank 3 glasses, and Director Jia's interest was also drunk. Director Jia drank 1 cup, and Mao Mao drank 2 cups. Phone Bai was worried that Mao Mao had drunk too much, so he snatched the wine glass to drink instead of her and Director Jia. A new round of games has officially begun. While toasting, she praised Director Jia with various exaggerated words. Under Mao Mao's offensive, Director Jia was completely drunk. It's a pity that the two of them didn't eat a bite of food, so they drank so much wine. Mao Mao took the opportunity to say about the transfer. She had already prepared the application form and asked Director Jia to sign. Seeing that Director Jia was already drunk, she stepped forward to hold Director Jia's hand and help him sign. This scene was so jealous that he didn't even notice that the wine on the table was full. After Director Jia signed, he collapsed in the next second. Mao Mao fooled the top students of the first class into their class, which resulted in a conflict between the two classes. Mao Mao and Phone Bai appeared in time to stop this farce. Unexpectedly, the nameplate of Class 11 was drawn with a big cross the next day, which made Mao Mao very angry. So she kept staring at Director Jia at the meeting preparing for the mock exam, making Director Jia feel uncomfortable. The director asked, "Do you have anything to say?" She said, "I just want to ask Director Jia, when will our school have a high school sophomore X class?" The director promised to arrange personnel to clean the class card as soon as possible and investigate immediately. Mao Mao said that this matter must be explained. But at this time, the head teacher of the first class mocked her for making a fuss. She said that if you have time, you should be optimistic about your students and don't be caught cheating on this mock exam. Mao Mao didn't believe that anyone could cheat under her nose, so she issued a military order on the spot. If someone cheats in this exam, then she will run 100 laps around the playground. Director Jia agreed. Then Mao Mao told the students about this, but they didn't rest assured about it at all, and it was impossible not to cheat in the exam. Soon they began to prepare cheat sheets. Some hid them in rulers, some are hidden in the Coke wrapper. In order to cheat, they can be said to show their supernatural powers. But they don't know that if they want to talk about cheating in exams, Mao Mao is the ancestor. She shouted, "Line up, come one by one." The student asked, "What are you doing?" She said, "Security check." She checked them one by one. No matter where they hid, they couldn't escape her eyes, and soon all kinds of cheat sheets were searched. This is not the most outrageous. She also spent a lot of money to get a mobile phone signal blocker. I thought this would be foolproof, but these students thought of a new way. They asked the god of war in the class to hand in the paper in advance, and then went to the toilet to pass the answer via Bluetooth. As everyone knows, Mao Mao suddenly appeared behind her, and she said, "I made a mistake and missed one." The students also wanted to use Bluetooth to see the answers, but they found the words, "Take the exam well, don't think about cheating." I thought that no one would cheat in this way, but I didn't expect that the newly transferred top student deliberately wrote cheat sheets on the eraser during the exam in order to be remembered. As a result, the teacher didn't even look at it. He also praised him for answering well. At this time, he saw the teaching director inspecting the examination room, so he deliberately threw the eraser full of cheat sheets on the ground. Wu Wen saw that he kindly helped him pick up the eraser, but was caught by Director Jia. The director said, "Bring it." When Mao Mao learned the news, he hurriedly came over to defend him. She said that she had confiscated all the cheat sheets before the exam, and the eraser could not be his. But Director Jia said that now the students' cheating methods have been updated and iterated, and they actually copied the answers with an invisible pen in their hands, and they couldn't see it at all without ultraviolet light. Mao Mao felt that Director Jia had read too many novels. How could there be such a way of cheating? But when she took the highlighter and looked at Wu Wen's hand, she was instantly dumbfounded, but she didn't expect that Wu Wen really had cheat sheets in his hand. Now embarrassed, Mao Mao still wanted to quibble for him, saying, "This is the chemical formula. I just took mathematics, and I only took chemistry in the afternoon, which is not cheating, at most it is an attempted cheating." Mao Mao said that she would strictly investigate this matter to the end and return Wu Wen's innocence. As a result, the pig teammate suddenly revealed that the rubber was his. In this way, Wu Wen was remembered again, and he did this for his good brother to sleep. Because the sleeping god also has cheat sheets in his hands, if he is found out, he will be beaten by his family. He wanted to help the sleeping god wash away the evidence, but he couldn't, and this scene happened to be seen by the top students. He threatened Wu Wen to teach him how to be remembered, otherwise he would tell about it. Wu Wen thought to himself, I have never seen such a perverted request. Just say it, are you willing to return the pot to you? Seeing that Wu Wen disagreed, Xueba suddenly ran to the corridor and shouted, Hey! Wu Wen didn't cheat, the cheat sheet is me dash. In order to prevent the top student from screaming, Wu Wen dragged him directly into the men's toilet and let the sleeping god cover outside. And at this moment, two classmates from the first class came over. They looked at the sleeping god with wandering eyes, extremely nervous, and instantly felt that there was a trick in the toilet. The sleeping god shouted, Hey, you can't go in. Ouch! The two people in the toilet were startled and hurriedly hid. The four eyes of the first class broke in and began to check one by one. He found that the last single room door could not be opened, and he squatted down and didn't find anyone. It turned out that the two were stuck in midair. He said to himself, It's broken, it seems that no one is there, why are you nervous? The sleeping god said, Why? Ha ha ha, to tease you. You see that you still believe in a big fool, you laughed me to death. Four eyes said, You are sick. The people outside were still talking, but Wu Wen couldn't hold on at this time. The top student kept tickling him, threatening to shout out if he didn't help him remember. Wu Wen had no choice but to agree. After the people outside left, the two of them carefully came out of the toilet. Wu Wen didn't know how to solve the situation of the top student. He said, Your good student filter is too heavy. The top student didn't want to give up so much, so in the afternoon exam, he deliberately threw a note on Wu Wen's table. Just as he was about to destroy the evidence, he was discovered by the invigilator, but when he opened it, there was nothing. In such an afternoon of exams, Wu Wen spent all his time in agony. The teacher called his name once, and he could only answer once. Wu Wen was tortured by the top student here and was on the verge of collapse, and Mao Mao on the other side was not much better. Because she had set up a military order at the meeting of the mock exam before, if someone cheated, she would have to run 100 laps around the playground, so she definitely couldn't let Wu Wen be recorded. She knew that Wu Wen's math grades were very good, so she applied for a makeup exam for him separately. As long as she can prove that he doesn't need to cheat to do well in the exam, she can apply to Director Jia to cancel the demerit. But Wu Wen was determined to carry this pot. After the exam, she was still fantasizing about Wu Wen getting a high score, but reality gave her a head-on blow, and the paper was a big duck egg. She knew that Wu Wen did it on purpose, so she came to the class and began to furious, I finally helped you get the opportunity to retake the exam. You actually gave me a 0 score. Even if you choose all C, you can't get 0 points, right? It's too late to say anything now. She still came to the playground and started running laps. The classmates of class 11 suddenly ran behind him, and Mao Mao couldn't help but laugh. I thought I had finally impressed these stinky boys. As a result, she couldn't laugh the next second. It turned out that they just wanted to record the picture of the head teacher embarrassed. Fortunately, Feng Bai was very concerned about Mao Mao, and appeared in time to drive away the classmates who were watching the excitement, and ran with her. At this moment, Mao Mao suddenly fainted from exhaustion. Feng Bai was frightened and kept shouting. But at this moment, she suddenly opened her eyes and said, The last trick, bitter meat trick. How about it, have they been moved by me? Feng Bai said, Maybe. Hearing this, Mao Mao was very happy, but she turned her head. She found that her classmates left the scene with a calm face, which made her extremely depressed and completely failed. However, this incident made Feng Bai see that she was very concerned about Wu Wen and was a little jealous, so he asked her why. Only then did Mao Mao tell the secret he had hidden for a long time. She said, You may not believe it, he is my brother. Feng Bai said, Wu Wen is your brother. This beautiful teacher never expected that the most naughty student in his class would turn out to be his younger brother who had been separated for many years. She asked, What's your name? He said, Wu Wen, is there anything wrong? In order to verify his conjecture, Mao Mao specially checked the student information, and found that not only the name was the same, but the date of birth was the same, and even his father's name was fine. I actually became my brother's head teacher. She wanted to further sure. She was a little afraid of seeing her drunken father, whom she hadn't seen for many years. Feng Bai suggested that she could hold a parent-teacher meeting, and then she would be able to determine whether the two were siblings. So Mao Mao called Wu Wen. Wu Wen asked, What's wrong? She said, There is something, I want to see your mother, I want to see your parents. She said, If you're not free, forget it. He said, Yes. I didn't expect Wu Wen to agree so easily. She had no choice but to bite the bullet and see her. The next day, she squatted upstairs with a telescope early to observe, but after seeing Wu Wen's father, she was confused again, thinking, Why are you so fat? Is it middle-aged fat? The hair is gone, like a meat egg. Soon Wu Wen brought his father to the office, and Mao Mao looked at it and was wrong. Wu Wen said, "My dad, Wu Zheng." She asked, "Are you really his father?" Wu Wen said, "Otherwise. It's not my dad, could it be your dad?" The man said, "How did you talk to the teacher?" She asked how old the man was, and he answered 51. She asked what it belonged to. Monkey. She asked Wu Wen if he was an only child. He was speechless for a while. He also said that he had a few relationships when he was young, and no one knew whether he had brothers or sisters. It was clear that there was something wrong with this father. After the two left, she secretly took a photo of Wu Wen's father, and then ordered her younger brother to check the person's information. At this time, she didn't know that she was about to usher in a new trouble. Because this is a class-wide parent-teacher meeting, all parents have to come over to understand the situation. But the god of sleep suddenly came to the office and said that his parents were on a business trip. But the so-called Tao is 1 foot high, and the devil is 1 foot high, and Mao Mao directly turned out the phone book and said she would call his parents at 8 p.m. Now it's over. He hurriedly told Wu Wen about this, begging him to help himself at night. If he let his family know the results of this exam, then his father would definitely beat him to death. Wu Wen was angry and helpless. He didn't help anyone with his brother. So at night he followed Mao Mao to her house, then knocked on the door on time at 8 o'clock and snatched the mobile phone that was being connected. Mao Mao was wondering how Wu Wen could come. "I smelled a conspiracy," she said. Wu Wen asked Mao Mao not to think so badly of him, and the next second he was amazed by Mao Mao's mansion. Mao Mao asked him not to change the subject. Who knew that Wu Wen wanted to visit? Mao Mao naturally will not be fooled by this little trick, falsely claiming that he has the WeChat of the sleeping god's father. Then she was about to turn on the computer. Wu Wen hurried to grab it, but Mao Mao shook a shot, snatched back his mobile phone, and called his sleeping father. Now Wu Wen has no choice. Before leaving, he saw a family photo and realized that Mao Mao was his own sister. Then Wu Wen came to the sleeping god's house and found that he was being beaten by his father. In order to rescue his brother, Wu Wen was accidentally injured and verbally insulted. "You don't have anything your parents care about." When he got home, he was turned away by his father and walked on the street in the heavy rain. He didn't know where to go. He was like an orphan who no one wanted. At this moment, an umbrella suddenly appeared, and when I turned my head, it turned out to be my sister. Mao Mao took him home and took a hot bath. But since there was no change of clothes, Jiang could only wear a sexy crop top. The next day, Wu Wen took the injured sleeping god to the infirmary to give medicine. Mao Mao happened to be dating Feng Bai here, only to find out about the long-term domestic violence of the sleeping god, and was ready to find time to talk to his father. "I don't dare to go home at night." He and Wu Wen surfed the internet in an internet cafe, but they didn't expect that their domestic violence father would find an internet cafe. As soon as he was found, he began to chase and beat him. On the other hand, the younger brother also found out that Wu Wen's father was fake, and his real identity was the owner of the internet cafe. So he immediately rushed to the internet cafe with Feng Bai. She happened to see the god of sleep being chased and beaten. She immediately kicked the skateboard in the corner out. That is the father of the god of sleep. The top student took out the scotch tape and stuck it on the classmate's leg, and the next second the classmate screamed in pain. A classmate was sleeping in class, and the teacher asked them to take the class seriously. The top student took out Coca-Cola and shook it back and forth, ready to wake up the sleeping classmates again. As a result, she sprayed herself in the face. This was ridiculed by the whole class, and even the sleeping classmates woke up and laughed at him. This sleeping god, sleeping in class, sleeping after class, even in physical education class, cannot wake him up for a long time, no matter how you call him. Mao Mao, as the head teacher, couldn't let it go, so he specially prepared Red Bull, coffee, and chili oil to refresh him, wanting to completely solve his problem. But Chi Bai said that he had tried all of these and it was completely useless. As he said, he picked up a bottle of Red Bull and poured it down. But before he could write a few words, he began to feel sleepy again. Mao Mao fed him a carbonated drink again, but it only worked for a few seconds. Even if you put 2 pins under your neck, he would be stabbed as soon as he lowered his head, but none of this could stop him from sleeping. This situation made Mao Mao both helpless and anxious, because she had promised Chi Bai's father that she would be able to get rid of Chi Bai's bad habit of sleeping within 3 days. Fortunately, the school doctor saw the clues and felt that Chi Bai's sleep was a psychological effect. So he told Mao Mao that there is a recurrent narcolepsy in this world, commonly known as Sleeping Beauty Syndrome, which is very similar to Chi Bai's current situation. Mao Mao asked, "Chi Bai won't really be sick, right?" Feng Bai said, "Fake." She was skeptical. Feng Bai explained that as long as Qi Bai believed that he had the disease and then pretended to give him a special drug, he might be able to solve the psychological hint of drowsiness. So the two found Qi Bai again and told him about the disease. They gave him a bottle of special medicine, saying that it could cure the disease, but in fact it was just the most ordinary vitamin C. Qi Bai really thought he was sick and tried to take it for a few days, but he didn't expect it to really work. After taking the medicine, I immediately felt energetic, whether it was in class or doing homework. He was no longer sleepy, and his grades improved by leaps and bounds. This made Mao Mao very happy and felt that he had saved another student. But Feng Bai told him not to be happy too early. This method treats the symptoms rather than the root cause, and if you want to solve the problem, you have to start with his domestic violence father. Mao Mao also understood in his heart. Sure enough, problems soon arose. When Qi Bai's mother was cleaning up the room that day, she accidentally found this bottle of unlabeled medicine, and she thought it was the kind of addictive stimulant circulating on the internet. I hurriedly told my husband about it. As a result, Qi Bai was beaten by his father again. When Mao Mao heard the news, he hurried to stop it, but Qi Bai's father didn't listen to the explanation at all. He shouted, "People like you don't deserve to be teachers. You get up for me. I'll kill you, rabbit." After he finished speaking, he wanted to fight Qi Bai again. Seeing this, Mao Mao hurriedly used his body to block it. And at this critical moment, Feng Bai appeared in time to stop it. Mao Mao then told the truth, "That's ordinary vitamin C." He asked, "Vitamin C? You lied to me. My son's problem, can vitamin C be cured? It's useless to eat A, B, C, D, E, F, G." Mao Mao said that Qi Bai's drowsiness was caused by his father's long-term domestic violence, and he rolled up Qi Bai's sleeve to show him the wound. The father was dumbfounded when he saw it, and he didn't know why his son had so many injuries. Mao Mao thought he was pretending to be stupid. Qi Bai said that it had nothing to do with his father, and that these injuries were caused by himself. She asked, "What did you say?" He said, "I did it myself." Only then did Qi Bai tell the truth. It turned out that his father's domestic violence had always been thunder and rain, and these injuries were caused by him to refresh himself. Pinch it with your hands when you are sleepy at the beginning, and prick it with a compass if it doesn't work. He knew that his father was working on the construction site every day, and his body was peeling off. It's just to make her live better. Her father's only wish was for her to study hard. He said, "My dad is already very tired, and I really don't want him to worry more about my studies." When my father heard this, he was distressed. "I feel that I have put too much pressure on my child." Mao Mao suggested that he and his child receive psychotherapy, saying that this is the only effective method at present. He said, "I agree." He said, "Son, no matter where you go, Dad will be with you." With the end of the Qi Bai family's affairs, since then, Class 11 has one less sleeping god who sleeps every day, and one more good student who studies seriously. This student doesn't go home from school and runs to the house of a single female teacher every day. Just because he has an unreliable father who can be there every time he comes home. Voices of different women were heard outside the door. The woman asked, "Where's your son?" He replied, "He won't tonight." He sent a message to his father saying he wanted to go home, but his father told him not to ruin his good deeds and gave him a sum of money to go out to live. Wu grew up in such an environment, obviously having a home, but like an orphan, he didn't know where to go. Fortunately, the head teacher Mao Mao saw that he was pitiful, so he took him back to his home. Seeing that there was a family photo of his childhood at home, he realized that Mao Mao was his long-lost sister. The next day, my father sent another message, saying that there was something to do in the evening. Let him go on to stay elsewhere for one night. Originally, Wu wanted to go to the internet cafe, but the previous matter of letting the internet cafe owner impersonate his father had been discovered by Mao Mao, and he was warned not to let Wu stay in the internet cafe anymore, so the internet cafe owner tactfully let Wu leave. He felt that all this was strange, so he came to her house again at night. She asked, What are you doing? Did you take my photo?" He said, "What did you say?" "I don't know." She said, "It's exactly the same photo as this." "Ah, why do I have two photos? Are you dropping this gold photo or this silver photo?" "This is my family photo, which shows my dad, my mother, me and my brother. No one has this photo except me and my brother. If you say this photo is yours, then who are you?" "Sister, it's really you." She said, "Yes, brother, I am really your sister." I thought the two would recognize each other, but Wu grabbed the photo and hid directly into the room. Mao Mao didn't have time to talk today. She made an appointment with Feng Bai to have dinner tonight, and specially asked her younger brother to arrange it and prepare to confess. She wanted to kick Wu out, but accidentally removed the doorknob while pushing and shoving. Now neither of them can get out. Feng Bai waited for a long time and no one came, so he had no choice but to leave. The confession plan completely failed, and Mao Mao was so angry that his teeth itched, but there was nothing he could do. The next day, Wu not only came, but also moved the suitcase. He said, "From today onwards, I will live with you. My dad has also approved it, and he has given me all the living expenses." She said, "How can there be such an irresponsible dad?" He asked, "Why don't you turn on the lights when it's pitch black?" She said, "My house is going to run out of electricity. Turn off the lights." He said, "I'll charge you if there's no electricity." Although Mau Mau was a little helpless, after all, he was his own brother and agreed. After a while, the power suddenly went out at home, and she heard movement upstairs, so she hurried up to check, and finally found Wu-wen in the closet. It turned out that when she was a child, her parents divorced, and Mau Mau was going to be taken away by her mother, and Wu-wen cried and refused to let her go. Mau Mau tricked him into playing hide and seek, asking him to count to 100, and he would catch him. However, no matter how many times he counted 100, his sister never appeared again. He cried alone in the dark for a long time, and since then he has had a psychological shadow on the darkness. Mau Mau knew the reason and felt guilty. There was no way she had to sleep with him next to her. Finally recognized that Sundara brother, Mau Mau was very happy, but soon she couldn't laugh. After learning that Mau Mau was going to confess to Fembai, Wu-wen was afraid that his sister would be taken away again, so he joined forces with the top scholars to prepare to do something. The next day, Mau Mau asked Fembai to eat at a Western restaurant, and she was just about to confess, but Wu-wen brought the top student over to ask questions and disrupt her plan. After that, when he had to take a critical step several times, he was always destroyed by Wu-wen. She shouted, "Fembai." He asked, "What's wrong?" She said, "The water pipe burst." He asked, "What's wrong with you?" Several dates were interrupted, which made Mau Mau very depressed. Unexpectedly, Wu-wen was still next to him and said, "Fate is destined, and practice depends on the individual. You." She finally couldn't bear it anymore and called her younger brother. So after Mau Mau went on a date the next day, Wu-wen just wanted to make trouble, but when he opened the door, he was stopped by his younger brother and blocked back. After there were no obstacles, Mau Mau's date was very successful. But when she was just about to confess, Femmbai's mobile phone rang suddenly. Seeing the words "Queen" on the phone, Mau Mau was extremely shocked, and thought, could it be that the male god who has been secretly in love with him for 10 years already has a girlfriend? This top student is more powerful than the teacher. Deliberately give out of syllabus questions in class for the teacher to do. Shiweba said, "This is not what we are in class today. Teacher, won't you?" This sentence made Mau Mau realize that the Comer was not good. In order not to fall into the trap of the top student, Mau Mau said that he would come to the office to teach him alone after class. Do not affect the current class progress. But at this time, the students in the audience began to coax, "Do you think we are not worthy of listening, or do you think we don't understand at all? Yes, that's it. Don't you understand? Think we don't deserve it? That's right, you're too eccentric. Poor students like us don't have father pain or mother love. That's right, is it just unworthy?" Faced with the moral kidnapping of the students, Mau Mau had no choice but to explain to them. But after the explanation, Shiweba said that her problem-solving method was too complicated. He can solve it with physics, which is simpler. But it's a math class, he said. Teacher, it doesn't matter if you do, I will, let me tell you. Seeing Mau Mau deflated, her classmates laughed, which made her feel very humiliated. I lost to a high school student. After class, Mau Mau came to measure his blood pressure here, saying that he was dizzy and bloated, chest tightness and shortness of breath. Fembai asked her what was wrong. She asked, "Am I a scumbag?" He said, "Yes." She said, "Why don't you think about it?" "I don't want face." He asked, "What's wrong? What's wrong in the class?" Then Mau Mau told the top student that he was deliberately looking for faults. She said, "I was asking him all kinds of problems for a whole class, and I doubted my life." Losing to a high school student is really embarrassing. In order to cope with the difficulties of the top students, Mau Mau began to study hard to catch up with the progress, as if he had returned to high school and reviewed all the knowledge of high school. I thought that this would be a solid victory, but who expected that the difficulties of the top students were even more serious? Start asking directly about the content of the super outline. She said, "This question has exceeded the knowledge points of high school and cannot be tested." The top scholars still don't give up, and feel that they should study whether they take the exam or not. The students below also clutched their grip and said, "Should we give up the big question just because we are poor students?" "Yes, teacher." "Yes, I didn't want to hear it." Mau Mau was speechless. Then the top student spoke again, "Teacher, it doesn't matter, if you don't know it, we won't laugh at you." "Well, why don't you go first?" "Brother, I'll pick it up." In the face of such difficulties, Mau Mau is both ashamed and helpless. This also made her even more depressed, not knowing how she offended the top students. As everyone knows, all this is the credit of his good brother. It turned out that the top student had always wanted Wu to teach him to remember, but because he was a good student, the filter was too heavy. No matter what bad things you do, the teacher doesn't believe it. Wu suggested that he go to Mao Mao's fault. As long as he kept provoking, he would definitely make Mao Mao's impression of him worse, so that he would definitely be remembered for his mistakes in the future. Xu Weibo thinks it makes sense, so he used questions to cause trouble for Mao Mao. As everyone knows, their head teacher is different. He used to be a bad student in the eyes of the teacher, and he was also the boss of the gang outside the school. Such difficulties not only did not work, but aroused Mao Mao's character of refusing to admit defeat. So he lit up the lamp and read at night every night, challenged various problems, and kept asking the male god Fengbai for advice. After several nights of continuous efforts, she finally understood various problem-solving ideas. A few days later, the top student began to make things difficult for him again, saying that his problem-solving method was too roundabout. The other students still followed. Xu Weibo said a simpler way to solve the problem, but this is obviously beyond the current teaching progress. Mao Mao said that learning should be gradual from shallow to deep. But Xu Weibo felt that this was just a waste of time, and there was obviously a better way to solve the problem. Why not? They said, yes, teacher, if you don't say it yourself, don't stop others from saying it. You don't know other solutions, do you? He said, I don't know. The students still mocked mercilessly. But Mao Mao is no longer what it used to be, and seeing that they are still not convinced, she said that there is a simpler way to solve the problem, which is simpler than the solution of the top students. Then write down the problem-solving method on the blackboard. This shocked the top scholar, because he didn't expect such a method. In the end, he had to sit down honestly. The classmates also saw her strength and stopped shooting. Mao Mao finally raised his eyebrows and pulled back a city. I have never seen such an arrogant student who dares to ask the teacher for leave to go out and play games. Out of responsibility to the students, Mao Mao will certainly not approve. As a result, the student directly took out the invitation letter from the youth training team, saying that he was going to take a leave of absence to play esports. She asked, isn't this a scam? He said, it's true. She said, amazing, he is indeed a game god. His name is Wei Wei, and he is the famous Yu-Gi-Oh in class 11. Because he skipped class and played games twice, he was recognized as a problem student at school. It stands to reason that the average teacher must let him give up his ideas and study hard. But Mao Mao is different. She used to be a bad student in the teacher's mouth, so you can think from the perspective of students. When school first started, she once asked all students to write about their dreams, and Wei Wei's dream was to play games to make money. She was worried that Wei Wei was playful, so she found a relationship to take him to the esports club for testing. He also deliberately made the club more difficult and let him fail the test to see if she really loves esports. She said, generally, team members will score 80 points on the test, but you only have 60 points. When Wei Wei heard the news, it was like being struck by lightning. Immediately come to the hall to look at the data. When he saw his results, his eyes suddenly turned red. Mao Mao advised him not to be depressed, study hard, and still be able to play games when he was admitted to college. He said, teacher, I just want to play esports. But you promised me that if you don't pass the test, you will give up. You can't give up your studies just to play esports. He said, it's not something you can't give up, it's a choice. I chose esports, and I really want to use it as my future career. Even if I only have 1% talent, I will give 99 points of effort. Mao Mao saw Wei Wei's determination, so he told him about increasing the difficulty of the test. At this time, the coach also came over to clarify. Wei Wei didn't understand why he did this. She said, esports, how can it be as simple as you think? Even with 99 points of talent, even if you are 1 point short of hard work, you can't be a real professional player. But your actions and abilities today showed me your determination, so I agree with your application for leave of absence. Tomorrow, please invite your parents to school, and I will talk to them. I thought this problem would be solved soon, but Fengbai reminded him not to be happy too early. He said, this time it was agreed too quickly that there could be surprises. Mao Mao didn't take his words to heart, and the next day trouble came. Wei Wei's mother was very angry when she learned about this, and immediately came to the school to settle accounts with Momo. She said, I want to talk to the principal, such a person can also be a teacher. She came to the principal's office and asked the principal to give her an explanation. She said, listen to me, how can there be such an irresponsible teacher as you? The second year of high school was a critical time, and he was encouraged to take a leave of absence to play games. Did the school care? Mao Mao said that he took his son to the test, and also said that Wei Wei has a high talent in esports. But no matter how Mao Mao explains, she thinks that esports is about playing games. Even if you play the world's first, it is still playing. She not only resolutely resisted her son's leave of absence, but also demanded that the school hold Mao Mao responsible. The principal had no choice but to suspend Mao Mao first. When the students learned the news, they didn't even go to class and ran to the principal's office. They said, why do you withdraw Mao's position? And we don't even accept it if we change teachers without even saying it. That's it. He said, Wu on. What are you doing? She said, I can solve this matter myself, you all go back to me. He said, if you could solve it yourself, would we be here now? If you let me stand up for everything, what qualifications do I have to be your class teacher? Mao Mao's words left the students speechless. She then promised the principal that she would take care of the matter, and then took the students back to class. At this moment, Class 11 no longer had the laziness of the beginning, although they were usually naughty, but no matter what happened to Chi Bai before, or what Wei Wei did now, they all let them recognize Mao Mao, the class teacher, from the bottom of their hearts. After returning to class, Mao Mao began to explain one by one. She said, Xia Zining, everyone tells you to learn from God, and you will help everyone in your studies in the future. Hey, whether in the esports team or at school in the future, do what you need to do wherever you are, and don't let parents and students worry. Chi Bai, if you don't understand in class, you should ask more, don't think hard about it, don't have too much pressure, and be sure to communicate more with teachers and classmates. And Li Fei, you don't have to be too anxious to dress yourself up so maturely, because you are beautiful as you are. As he spoke, Mao Mao's tears couldn't help but flow. She didn't say more, saying that she had to leave Class 11 for a while. Let them be obedient. Finally, he glanced at his students again, and then left the classroom lonely. If she can't solve this matter perfectly, she may really not be able to go back to school. When I got home, the more I thought about it, the more aggrieved I became. Finally, I couldn't help but cry. She said, do you know how aggrieved I am? What did I do wrong? I didn't do anything wrong, didn't I also do it for the good of the students? Why? Mao Mao's grievances made his younger brother Wu feel distressed, and he could only keep comforting him. On the other hand, Feng Bai is also thinking of a way. He used his position as a school manager to convene a board of directors and won a hearing for Mao Mao. Mao Mao was very happy and felt that this would make things clear. But she was still worried that Wei Wei's parents would not understand. He said, you have to divide your opponents first and break them one by one. She asked, how do you say this? He said, playing games is not overnight, and generally one of the parents of this kind of family must be relatively open-minded, and when their children make mistakes or are blamed, they take understanding and tolerant solutions. Now it seems that Wei Wei's mother is the impulsive party. She said, I understand, then I'll ask Wei Wei's father to have a good chat tomorrow. Then the two of them took action. They took advantage of Wei Wei's mother's time to come to her house and communicated with Wei Wei's father. Fortunately, Wei Wei's father is more open-minded. He is willing to understand his son's dream, but he doesn't know much about esports. He said, let's see if you can let me see what esports is. She said, of course. Then Mao Mao Tua made an appointment with a professional team and organized an esports competition. Let Wei Wei's father come to the scene to feel it. The game started quickly. The level of the professional team is very high, and the strength of the other people in the class is much worse except for Wei Wei. Soon several teammates were defeated, and the battle situation was very unfavorable, and Wei Wei could only fight 1 against 4. All the pressure was on him. Even so, Wei Wei still did not give up, he was fully engrossed. The commentator shouted, look at Wei Wei's operation. Hey, he cut directly to the back row and took it away. Everyone, wow. Under Wei Wei's game talent, he actually completed the extreme 3 kills, reversing the situation. The students in the audience all cheered for him. In the end, only he and the other captain were left, and the two were evenly matched, and everyone watched very nervously. Unfortunately, the miracle did not happen. In the end, Wei Wei was defeated because of his lack of actual combat experience. He was a little discouraged because of this, but he was already an MVP in everyone's hearts. Everyone begged Wei Wei's father to give him another chance. Dad said, although I don't understand it yet, I think you played very well. He said, Dad is proud of you. With the support of Wei Wei's father, Mao Mao held a hearing in the school and made this matter clear in front of all the school managers. The leaders were moved by a heartfelt remark, but Wei Wei's mother still disagreed. She said, I think if Wei Wei chooses this path, then the path he will take in the future will be more difficult than going to university. Can you be realistic? How many people can make a world championship? Hundreds of thousands of people can't get one. You are on leave now, in case you don't persevere. How will you find a job without a degree in the future? How to feed yourself? She was afraid that Wei Wei would regret it at that time, but there was no way out, so she resolutely opposed it. Wei Wei said that she always remembered that her mother's dream since she was a child was to be a dancer, just because her family did not agree. She eventually gave up. He said, if I listen to you today and give up esports, then no matter how good or bad my life is, I may regret it for the rest of my life. The mother felt her son's determination and finally agreed to Wei Wei's decision. No matter how bumpy the road is, she will accompany her son on the way. Things finally rejoiced, and Mao Mao also regained his status as a class teacher. She heard the students in other classes discussing Wei Wei's affairs. I envy him for having such a good class teacher. This made Mao Mao very happy, more confident in walking, and more confident that he could be a good teacher. The beautiful teacher is about to confess to the male god. Unexpectedly, she saw two classmates in her class at this time. She hurriedly pulled the male god to hide, and found that the relationship between the two students was very ambiguous, and they fed each other food, much like puppy love. And she didn't know that this was actually intentional by the students. Her name is Xia Zining. She is recognized as the god of hexagon in the whole school, and her grades can definitely be competed by major colleges and universities even if she goes abroad. His parents also planned to let him study abroad, but Xia Zining didn't want to leave his grandmother, who was in poor health, so he wanted to stay by being remembered by the school because if her academic qualifications are stained, she will be rejected by most foreign schools. For this reason, he smashed the school's trophy on the first day of school, but he didn't expect that the school would not only not pursue it, but also put all the responsibility on Wu Wen. Then he wrote cheat sheets on an eraser. Pretending to cheat on the exam, the result once again made Wu Wen take the blame. Xia Zining, who failed twice, still refused to give up. She picked up the school rules and continued to study the method of recording demerits, thinking, puppy love is prohibited, and those who violate the school rules will be punished. After choosing, she stretched out her claws to Wu Wen, who had robbed him twice. A 3-second silence for our little Wu. After that, he kept pestering Wu Wen to pretend to ask questions, and deliberately let the four eyes that had a crush on him see it. She said, Wu Wen, do you think there's something in my hair? I was a little uncomfortable. Cyan was really jealous, and immediately complained to Director Jia. He was happy and felt that his plan was about to succeed. After that, Director Jia told the head teacher Mao Mao about this matter and asked him to pay attention. But Mao Mao thought that the two of them were just studying, not only did not object, but also encouraged the two of them to communicate more. Because Wu Wen is his own brother, communicating more with top students can also improve his grades. But she soon stopped thinking so. In the evening, Mao Mao was dating Feng Bai. She suddenly found that the two of them also ran over to eat, behaved intimately, and fed each other food. This made Mao Mao have to be suspicious. She said, I also swore to Lao Jia that they were fine, wouldn't this slap me in the face? When he got home, Mao Mao immediately asked Wu Wen what was going on. Are they in puppy love? Wu Wen tried his best to explain that it was just an ordinary classmate relationship, but Mao Mao still didn't believe it. Seeing this, Wu Wen could only compare her relationship with Feng Bai when she went to school. She said, our friendship is pure. He said, then we are also pure friendship. Can you stop being so double-standard? Mao Mao was a little unreasonable, so he didn't say more. After returning to the room, Wu Wen thought about it carefully and did feel that something was wrong with Xia Zining's behavior. When he went to school the next day, Wu Wen stopped Xia Zining at the door and asked, do you want to use me to create the illusion of puppy love with you, and then remember it? Seeing that Wu Wen found out, she had no choice but to admit it. Wu Wen was very angry and said that this would affect his expulsion because he had already passed twice. At this moment, Xia Zining's mobile phone rang suddenly. He picked up the phone. Hello. The other party asked, is it Huang Tandi's family? He said, yes. She is now in the central hospital, please come. He said, what? Upon learning the news, Xia Zining hurriedly ran to the hospital, and Wu Wen followed. In the process of visiting her grandmother, Wu Wen also knew the cause and effect of Xia Zining's desire to be remembered, and sympathized with her very much. He also chose to forgive for this frame-up. The matter between the two was temporarily resolved. With the end of the final exam, the grades of the students in the class improved rapidly, and Mao Mao was very happy. After a semester, she not only helped many students, she also got class 11 rid of the title of poor student class. She said, I know what you want to hear most right now. The student replied, clean. Then welcome the winter holidays. Yes, yes. Wow. Then everyone cleaned up together. Some students asked Mao Mao if he would go home for the new year. She said, you should go back. The student asked, then will you take Feng Bai home for the new year? She said, well, not this year. I have a more important person to bring back this year. Oh. Mao Mao's words happened to be heard by Feng Bai. Feng Bai said, I am here to send you an assessment report. It's nothing, I'll leave first. After Feng Bai delivered the assessment report, he left without looking back. Mao Mao was a little confused and thought, what's going on? Why is it suddenly so cold today? Since the siblings recognized each other, Wu Wen moved to Mao Mao's house because Wu Wen had been asking the internet cafe owner to impersonate his father before. If the school found out, he would face expulsion, so Mao Mao didn't dare to tell anyone. Seeing that the Chinese New Year was approaching, Mao Mao wanted Wu Wen to go back with her, but was refused. He said, your mother should have forgotten about me a long time ago. She said, "You misunderstood her too much when you said that. After they divorced, Dad took you to move and disappeared, and she was going crazy looking for you." Seeing that Wu Wen still didn't believe it, Mao Mao immediately called his mother and swore Mom must be very happy to know. The result was unexpected. She called, "Hey, Mom." Mom said, "What are you doing?" She said, "Let me tell you, I want to this year's Chinese New Year." Mom said, "Don't go home for the Chinese New Year this year. I don't have time to go home. Don't go back, that's it, I'll have a meeting." She said, "Are you my own mother?" After she finished speaking, she hung up the phone, which caused Wu Wen to laugh for a while. It seems that the two can only partner this year. The atmosphere of the new year is always so harmonious, and every student's home is filled with a joyful reunion atmosphere, as are the siblings Mao Mao and Wu Wen. The days of being accompanied are not lonely. But compared with the warmth of Mao Mao's family, Feng Bai's side is completely different. Since he heard that Mao Mao was going to take others home for the Chinese New Year at school, he was jealous and had no contact. He wanted Mao Mao to be aware. But Mao Mao, who has a lot of nerves, has a younger brother who has forgotten his lover, and Feng Bai has forgotten everything. In the end, he couldn't help but decide to take the initiative. This caught Mao Mao off guard. She closed the door and quickly pulled Wu Wen to let him hide. She said, "I can't let Feng Bai find you." He said, "Feng Bai, can't you just drive him away?" She said, "No, today is the Chinese New Year's Eve, and he misunderstood it before." He said, "No, then you explain it to him later, let him go quickly." She said, Okay, you go upstairs first." "Oh, leave me alone." Worried that Feng Bai would find Wu Wen when he saw the light, Mao Mao turned off the light and did not allow him to turn it on. But Wu Wen was very afraid of the dark and did not agree. The two kept turning the lights on and off, which accidentally caused a short circuit and tripped. Mao Mao doesn't have the heart to care about this now. She hurried downstairs to clean up all Wu Wen's traces, and then let Feng Bai come in. He asked, "It's so dark, what's going on?" She said, "Well, it seems to have tripped." Feng Bai prepared a sumptuous candlelight dinner, and the two made a romantic appointment. But it didn't take long for Wu Wen upstairs to have a problem. The phone suddenly ran out of power and turned off, and Wu Wen suddenly fell into darkness, and the shadow of his childhood followed. He hid in the cabinet and shivered, and finally fainted because he couldn't stand it. Mao Mao didn't care about hiding when he heard the movement. She shouted, "Wu Wen, what's wrong with you, Wu Wen? Sister. Agreed that you are coming to me, we will never play hide and seek again. Now I can't hide it at all." After placing Wu Wen, Mao Mao confessed to Feng Bai and told the fact that the two siblings were siblings. She said that her parents divorced and separated her brother. It was a thorn in her heart, so she never said it. Feng Bai expressed his understanding, and took up the token from 10 years ago and took the initiative to confess to Mao Mao. The two completely eliminated the estrangement. Just as the new year has officially arrived, the fireworks in the sky seem to congratulate the lovers on finally achieving positive results. The next day, Wu Wen woke up and ate the first bite of dog food of the new year. He was so frightened that he jumped up and shouted, "You guys! What's going on?" Mao Mao said, "That's what you see." He said, "I'm blind and can't understand." She said, "No, you understand. Let's face it." Mao Mao kept chattering. After Feng Bai brought breakfast, the two said that they had completely confirmed their relationship. Wu Wen was very unconvinced, but there was nothing he could do. A few people were eating breakfast. Feng Bai said that there is another very difficult thing to solve. He said, "Isn't this internet cafe owner your father? Do you know how serious the consequences are for the school to know?" Wu Wen said, "It has nothing to do with Mao Mao. If you want to blame me." Feng Bai analyzed this matter to the two of them, but Wu Wen was unwilling to face it. He said, "Who do you think you are? Don't think that you deceived my sister, you can point fingers at me." After saying that, he turned around and left. The two have been living together for the next holiday, but it has a unique flavor. In the blink of an eye, it's time for school to start. Feng Bai's special car picks up and drops Mao Mao to work, which makes Wu Wenhao, who is riding a bicycle, envious for a while. They did not know that a new crisis was coming. Mao Mao and Wu Wen's intimate behavior during the holiday was still discovered by the students, and finally posted on the campus internet. The principal and director were very angry. They immediately called the two to the office. In the face of the school's questioning, how should the siblings face it? The teacher actually had an affair with the student, and the campus internet was full of photos of the two of them hooking up shoulder to shoulder. The director said, "This incident made the school leaders very angry. Say, do you live together?" Mao Mao could only admit that the photo was indeed real, but she had a clear conscience. She can't control what others say. This attitude made the director of instruction very angry and asked her if she knew how much negative impact this incident had on the school. The principal was also going to fire her on the spot. At this time, Wu stood up. He said, "Teacher Mo is my sister." The director was surprised. Wu said that they are siblings of the same father and mother, and there should be no problem for the younger brother to live at his sister's house. At this moment, Feng Bai walked in, and he proved that what Wu said was true. But the director is not so easy to fool. He soon discovered another problem. He said, "When I met my parents last year, Teacher Mo said that he didn't know Wu father. Is there such a thing?" Now the two are indisputable. In order not to implicate his sister, Wu took the initiative to take full responsibility. He said, "My dad is fake." The director was surprised again. He said, "I said that the dad you saw before was fake." Wu said that he was kicked out by his father, and it was Mao Mao who kindly took him in, and later found out that the two were siblings, and he was afraid that he would be punished, so he had to hide it. Director Jia felt that they were misbehaving. They cannot stay in school. Feng Bai still wanted to defend them, but Director Jia refused to enter and insisted on being fired. Feng Bai was anxious. The director asked, "What use do you don't agree to?" Feng Bai bluntly said that he was one of the members of the school council. Hearing this, Mao Mao was stunned. She didn't expect her boyfriend to have this important identity. Feng Bai proposed to invite their real father to come to school and make the matter clear. So the next day, the real father of the two, Wu Jingqi, rode to the school in style. I saw Wu Jing jumping off the motorcycle handsomely. He took off his helmet to reveal his sexy big bald head. Mao Mao looked at it so unseriously, but the school managers were waiting for him, and there was no time to complain, so she pulled Wu Jing into the school. Wu Jing walked while taking care of the security guard to keep an eye on his motorcycle. Coming to the conference room, after verifying Wu Jing's identity, the principal explained the situation to him. When he heard that the two lived together, he felt that it was nothing. But after knowing that Wu was using the internet cafe owner to impersonate his father, he was instantly unhappy. He said, "Teacher Wei, do you believe that a bald yellow man can give birth to such a beautiful daughter and such a handsome son?" As he spoke, he was about to pull Wu back to teach him a lesson. The leader was very dissatisfied with this farce and complained that Feng Bai should not have established the 11th class of the second year of high school in the first place. These words shocked Mao Mao. She didn't expect her boyfriend to be the culprit of discriminating against students and deliberately separating them into business classes. This made Mao Mao very disappointed, and he pulled Wu away in a fit of anger. The breakdown of negotiations led to Wu facing expulsion. Feng Bai was worried and wanted to follow out, but was stopped by Wu Zhen. He had to pull him to drink. He saw that Feng Bai's relationship with his daughter was not ordinary, and he was ready to inspect this prospective son-in-law. But Feng Bai didn't drink alcohol, but he was always forcibly poured by his father-in-law. This should also be something that many male compatriots are afraid of. During this period, Wu Zheng was very dissatisfied with Mao Mao's change to his mother's surname. He said, "I don't know how they did it, what the hell is it? My son's name is Wu Wen. Listen, it adds up to ignorance, how terrible it is to be uneducated." The two drank from the bar to the barbecue stall, and became buddies while drinking. He said, "From now on, you are my son-in-law." Ha ha ha. Feng Bai said, "Thank you, uncle." He said, "What do you call me?" Feng Bai shouted, "Dad." He said, "That's right, brother." The two of them were drunk now. But Mao Mao still has to solve his brother's problem. He took his younger brother to Wu Zheng's bar to teach him a lesson. The younger brother said, "Although he is my boss, but I only recognize you. One day is the boss is the boss for life. Wait, I'll copy the guy." She said, "You come back." At the critical moment, the younger brother escaped from the battlefield. Mao Mao had to face it alone. As soon as they met, she angrily reprimanded Wu Zheng for being irresponsible and asked him how to deal with Wu Wen's affairs. Unexpectedly, Wu Zheng didn't care about this, and felt that it would be good to inherit his bar directly without going to school. Mao Mao was furious when he heard this. He was not a qualified father, he never cared about their siblings, and he didn't know that Wu couldn't go back to his home, so he could only go to the internet cafe every day to spend the night. He said, "Impossible, I have never stopped giving him money." She said, "Can money solve everything? Is this what a father should say? Because you two just divorced, people say that I have a mother but no father. I am a little girl, without the support of my parents, I have to rely on myself for everything. So I want to be a bad boy because then I can protect myself." When Wu Zheng heard his daughter's words, he knew how many mistakes he had made and was full of guilt for his siblings. He vowed that he would change his mind and become a father again in the future. The next day they came to school again, and Wu Zheng also changed his previous appearance and sincerely apologized for his behavior. He said that it was all his fault and hoped that the school could give Wu another chance. He said, I'm sorry. In the end, the school managers agreed to give Wu another chance for their sincerity. The ending was happy, and the family of three has lived together ever since. Unfortunately, one wave has not subsided, and another wave has risen. Wu uses his self-taught hacking skills. He deleted the scandalous photos of himself and his sister on the campus website. This scene was seen by Xia Zining, a top student, so he took the initiative to ask Wu for programming knowledge. The warm-hearted Wu didn't think much about it, and taught him everything he knew without reservation. But soon he regretted it. In the evening, Mao was uploading the test papers prepared for the final exam to the campus network, and the clumsy operation caused Wu to complain. Wu disliked his sister for moving too slowly, and planned to simply help her operate it. But Mao refused. Because this is the final exam paper, it must be uploaded to the school system for review, which is highly confidential and cannot be read by anyone. Wu felt that the security system of the campus network could be hacked in casually. To get the test paper, it's too simple. Just after saying this, Wu was shocked. Most of the knowledge he taught Xia Zining was how to hack into the campus network. Was it just to steal the test paper? Mao was surprised. You won't really hack the campus network, right? Wu had to say that it was Xia Zining. Seeing that if you keep it hidden, something big may happen, Wu no longer hid it from Mao, and told Xia Zining that he had transferred to class 11 and had always wanted to be remembered for escaping to study abroad. This left Momo speechless. How could she lead a class that didn't have any peace of mind? The phone didn't get through. Mao had no choice but to leave for her house to take a look. Before leaving, she also told her father to be optimistic about Wu and not let him go out to cause trouble. However, Dad is not a fuel-efficient lamp. Under Wu's soft grinding and hard bubbles, the two of them ran to the school in the middle of the night to climb over the wall. When they came down, they saw the school security patrol, and Dad volunteered to go out to attract fire. Wu took the opportunity to come to the school's computer room, and sure enough, he found Xia Zining, who was hacking into the campus network. He hurried in and began to dissuade him. At this time, Dad is playing an extreme battle royale. The security guard chased Wu around. In a panic, Dad fled to the computer room, and before he could catch his breath, he saw two rabbits. He asked, "Why are you here?" Wu said, "Didn't I ask you to lure me away from the security guards? What are you doing here?" He said, "I got lost." Wu asked him to leave quickly, and he hurriedly went out for his son and began to flee again. Wu took the opportunity to pull Xia Zining out. She complained that Wu was meddling. He sabotaged her plans. Wu told her that doing so would affect Mao. Hearing this, she didn't say anything more. Dad also got rid of the security guard and successfully met. Just as the three of them were about to climb over the wall, an accident happened. Xia Zining suddenly received the news that her grandmother was hospitalized. Wu directly pulled her into the car and rushed to the hospital, forgetting her father completely. On the way, Xia Zining felt very guilty, but she was not by her side when her grandmother needed it most. Wu comforted while riding a bicycle. He took her to the hospital as quickly as possible and said that her grandmother must be fine. This gave Xia Zining a great sense of security. But at this moment, the traffic police appeared in front of the car to check the car, and Wu also found that the brakes were broken, so he had no choice but to force his way in. He shouted that the brakes were broken. "Get out of the way." Seeing this, the traffic police immediately got into the car and chased after it. The red light came on, and Wu couldn't stop. At the same time, a car also drove quickly on the other side, and it was about to hit it. At this critical moment. Fortunately, the car stopped in time to avoid a tragedy. Strangely, the traffic police did not stop after catching up, but formed a circle and escorted them all the way. After coming to the hospital, I found out that Xia Zining's grandmother was seriously ill, and Wu Cai was anxious to take her to the hospital. For this reason, he directly threw his father on the wall. Although there was a reason for the incident, the traffic police still routinely brought Wu back to the police station for education. Soon Mao received a notice and came to the police station. After some exchange, she learned that her father had been caught at school. Xia Zining's stealing of the test paper was also captured by surveillance. The school leaders were very angry and decided to give Xia Zining and Wu punishment after a meeting and discussion. And because Wu had already recorded 3 times, he was immediately expelled. Mao was also implicated in his resignation because of his previous military order. Mao got drunk at night and started a drunken madness on the road. She asked herself what she wanted to be a teacher for. Tired, not profitable, and angry. After venting, Mao returned home lonely. She saw that she had corrected the test paper that she hadn't had time to send out, and recalled the bits and pieces of her time with the students. The student said, "If I can stand on the podium one day to represent the country, your name will definitely appear on my thank you list." Another student said, "Teacher, my parents and I thank you, please discipline me more strictly in the future." The female student said, "Teacher, this body always meets the requirements of the school, right? It's all for your face, no thanks." Thinking that the students are becoming more and more sensible, I may never see them again in the future. Mao Mao's heart became more and more uncomfortable. Xia Zining, the initiator of the matter on the other side, was not much better, although he achieved his goal, but because of Wu Wen and Mao Mao, he was ostracized by other students in the class. The classmate said, "You are really powerful, driving away 2 people at once. You might as well go back to the first shift, aren't you harming us here?" I think she came to our class to take revenge on Mao Mao. At this time, Feng Bai came over to stop the students, then took Xia Zining into the school doctor's room and solemnly asked her what she thought. Xia Zining also blamed herself very much, crying and begging Feng Bai to intercede with the school, and she was willing to take all responsibility. Feng Bai said, "If you exchange them for them, do you think this is what teacher Mao Mao wants to see? Xia Zining just wants to bear the consequences for the mistakes he makes." Feng Bai asked her to go back first. Her classmates may have ideas about this matter and don't understand her, but it's all because she made the wrong choice. Don't run away, bravely face the consequences of doing something wrong, that's what she should do now. He promised Xia Zining. He will help teacher Mao Mao. When I got home at night, I found that my parents had rushed back from abroad. They accused their daughter of learning badly. Xia Zining accused them of not caring about their grandmother's condition. The 2 sides had a big fight. Her father felt that the reason why she learned badly was all because she stayed with a group of poor students and decided to lock her up at home and transfer schools after a while. Feng Bai was worried about Mao Mao, so he came to her house. Seeing his beloved girl crying, he hurriedly stepped forward to comfort him. But because of the previous concealment of the school director, Mao Mao was very concerned and didn't want to pay attention to him anymore. According to the routine of this kind of drama, there is no heroine who can't be chased back by a kiss. Feng Bai did do this. Anyway, the 2 reconciled after that. He still has to fight to resolve the expulsion. The board of directors has made a decision, and if you want to solve it, you still have to start with the students. Mao Mao knocked on the window and motioned for Wu Wen to come over. Wu Wen immediately came up. She said, "Inform all the students in our class to gather at the beach tomorrow." So the next day, Mao Mao summoned the whole class to gather at the beach. She wants to complete this final test with her students. The growth of class 11 this year is obvious to all. She is ready to cut a video to let the school leaders see the improvement of the students' grades. She also wants to show the advantages of their all-round development. After preparation, the school managers received a message at the same time. "Dear school leaders and teachers, hello. All students of class 11 of the second year of high school invited school leaders and teachers to meet on March 14. You attended the hearing in the staircase classroom to witness the changes made in the 11th class of the sophomore over the past school year. I hope you will take some time out of your busy schedules to attend." In front of the teachers in the school, Mao Mao began to play the prepared video. Those students who used to be uneducated and unskilled, fighting, climbing over walls, cheating on exams, and messing up their grades, have changed dramatically after a year of change. Not only have their grades improved by leaps and bounds, but their family relationships have also improved greatly, and they have also been colorful in life. The teachers were moved when they saw it, and even the head teacher who had not been optimistic about them stood up to help them speak. He said, "The growth of class 11. This is obvious to all of us. So if these children make mistakes, should all the parents, teachers, and school managers here bear this responsibility together, instead of pushing it all to teacher Mo?" Finally, with the efforts of everyone, the school leaders decided to give them another chance, but asked the whole class to improve by 100 people. After that, they came to Xia Zining's house and prepared a surprise for her. The words "come back" slowly appeared on the opposite building. Xia Zining was very moved. After that, Mao Mao used a drone to hang the phone up. If you look closely, it turns out to be a video call from your grandmother. Xia Zining shouted, "Grandma! I miss you." Grandma said, "Ning Ning, why are you so stupid? My classmates have already told me that you did so many stupid things to accompany me and didn't want to go abroad. To be honest, I'm already this old, and I definitely want you to stay by my side." Xia Zining said, "I just want to be with you. You brought me up since I was a child, and in my eyes, you are my only relative, Grandma." She cried and said, "Ning Ning is obedient. Don't drive Ning Ning away. Ning Ning just wants to be with you." Grandma said, "Okay, let's not go, we won't go abroad. You just stay in China to accompany your grandma, let's study in China, and don't go anywhere." The parents heard everything behind me. They knew that they had never understood their daughter's true thoughts, and they were happy that she had such a good classmate and agreed to let her stay in China. Class 11 is finally restored. In the days that followed, they studied hard and faced the exam. Students help each other. The students of Class 1 also took the initiative to help. After unremitting efforts, the time soon came after the college entrance examination. Mao Mao gathered his classmates in the class for the last time, and even Wei Wei, who took a leave of absence to participate in professional esports competitions, also returned. Mao Mao took out the wishes they had written down, let them talk about their future ideals, and write a new wish again and put it into the time and space capsule. After today, you will move on to the next stage of your life. I hope you can still remember it over the years. The young ladies who sit in your front row and put on makeup every day, the little brothers who have played ball with you, and the table mates who have peeked at you in class. From the moment you really step out of this classroom, you are adults. In the future, if you encounter any difficulties and feel sad and want to cry, you must remember the group of people sitting next to you now. Because it is this group of people who have spent the most bastard, but most precious time with you. I will definitely accompany you all the time in the future. Then they buried the capsule under the sycamore tree in the school. When we meet again 10 years later, come over and open it. The story finally reached its finale. They ended their nostalgic high school careers with laughter. Move towards the next new stage of life.